Okay, next target. Hey, there's our buddy. I wouldn't stand back there. Well, it's been a minute since I made my last video, but I promise you, I have not been hibernating. I've been busy. I've came up with 3 new airgun accessories. And keep in mind, most of my shooting is done from the bench, so I would mostly consider these bench accessories. You guys, you let me know what you think, and you tell me if they're bench accessories or not. Stay around till the end of the video, and there'll be a giveaway-ish. Mostly a giveaway. All right, here we go. So first accessory is what I call a cocking block. Here's my original version, and I have 3D printed a production version, and it comes in 3 colors. And you're saying, well, what is a cocking block? Well, let me show you. All right, I got my Wildcat out here. When I cock the rifle, I brace my thumb against the back of the scope rail, and I cock the rifle. But I always thought that, wouldn't it be nice if I had a handhold kind of back here? So I made this original wooden block, and I thought, oh yeah, that is a lot nicer. This 3D printed version, and it just snaps over the barrel, and it snaps pretty firm. It's really personal preference. Some guys aren't going to brace their thumb on the back here. Some guys are just going to cock the rifle. I find this to be a little bit more ergonomic than bracing against the scope rail. And if you're someone who uses their thumb, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. By just moving this back a couple inches, it makes things a lot easier. So the print is from a carbon fiber reinforced PETG material and comes in 3 colors. And these are not, the reason I went with this material is it's not a plasticky looking material. Hopefully this is coming out good on the camera, but it's actually kind of hard to tell from the side that these were 3D printed. And here's the red. So 3 colors, blue, red, and black. Okay, so that's the cocking block. Pretty straightforward. Cocking block is only for the Maverick and Wildcat Mark III versions. Let me bring you in here. So the only other notable is this set screw right here. It likes to work its way out on occasion, so you got to make sure that's screwed all the way in. Then when you put the cocking block on, it snaps right over the top of that. I'll put a couple pictures of the cocking block up here, and that way you can kind of get a little bit better idea what this will look like on your rifle. All right, let's leave this up here. Okay, so these are next. And what are these? These are gauge covers. Maybe close up be better. All right, so these are gauge covers. They come in 3 different diameters. They come in a 25 millimeter, a 28 millimeter, and a 30 millimeter. You're saying, well, what do I need a gauge cover for? Well, you need a gauge cover so you can be both mysterious and lazy. All right, so if I bring you around this way, kind of from shooter's perspective, this is why you need a gauge cover. Because it's got a mirror in the lid, and you'll be able to see your bottle gauge while you're sitting at the rifle. So I'm right-handed. I can never see the bottle gauge or what my tank pressure is on either the Wildcat or the Maverick when I'm sitting down at the bench. So I'm actually so lazy that at one point I had an inspection mirror at the bench so I could just reach over and see what my bottle gauge was reading. Okay, so again, comes in 3 different colors, and everything is printed out of the same carbon fiber reinforced material. There are 3 different lengths. The longest are an 18 millimeter, so these will go over your gauge, a total of 18 millimeters. They'll slide on. There's a medium length, which has an engagement of 10 millimeters, and there is a short length, which has an engagement of 7 millimeters. So if we look at the Wildcat, for example, this is a 7 millimeter gauge with a 30 millimeter diameter. That way it slides right over the top of the original FX shroud, because these shrouds are notoriously difficult to take off. It takes a lot of finger pressure to remove these. So this is a 10 millimeter depth, so it slides right over the top of the original FX gauge, or it doesn't interfere with the Wildcat stock. So if I tried a 30 millimeter by 18 depth, that is not going to slide on there all the way. because the stock interferes with it. So that's why I made 3 different lengths. 3 different lengths, 18 millimeter, a 10 millimeter, and a 7 millimeter in 3 different diameters, 25 millimeter, 28 millimeter, and 30 millimeter. FX gauges without the shroud are 28 millimeter, and some of your the smaller gauges should mostly be 25 millimeter. So I tried to hit those 3 bases. Okay, now listen to me. This is the important part. These are a 3D printed gauge cover. Okay, it's not an injection molded cover, and it's not a machined metal cover. It's a 3D printed cover. And if you guys know anything about 3D printing, the parts are going to be weakest in the Z-axis, where the layers stack on top of one another. So the weakest part of this gauge cover is the hinge. And see if I can get you in here close. So you can see the layers, and that's how it's printed. It's stacked up one layer at a time. So what I'm going to tell you is, in full disclosure, so you guys know what you're getting, is if you have this on your rifle and you catch this cover with your sleeve or something, or you bump this cover, you're going to rip it right off. Okay. Now, I wouldn't say that it's fragile, but the nice thing is if you catch this cover, it'll just tear away, and it won't hurt your gauge in any way. Okay. But the bad thing is, if you catch this cover with your hand or with a sleeve, or you do it accidentally, it's going to tear off. Basically, I made this item inexpensive enough to where you'll be a little bit mad if you break it, but you'll be like, oh, I'll just get another one with my next set of pellets. So full disclosure on that, I had to make these as small as possible and make them as strong as possible, and I thought this was a good size and a good amount of strength to where you're not gonna just break it, right? But you can break the lid off with enough force, so just keep that in mind. The other notable about these are the 25 millimeter have a 3 millimeter wall thickness, and that's basically because all the mirrors are 1-inch mirrors, so I had to design around a 1-inch mirror. So 25 millimeter have a 3 millimeter wall thickness, and the 28 and 30 millimeters all have about a 1.5 millimeter wall thickness. I'm thinking these are great for tuning, especially if you're lefty and you can't see your regulator gauge. If you're tuning and you want to see refresh rates on your regulator, I'm thinking these would be awesome for FX impacts where that second regulator gauge is pointed straight down, right? So if you pretend that that's pointed kind of mostly downward, you'd be able to angle this in the right direction where you can kind of lean over, see how your gauge is refreshing without unsettling the rifle or picking up the rifle. So kind of handy. You already saw the cover that's on the Wildcat. It's a 30 by 10, and that fits right over the top of the original FX shroud. With my Maverick, I'm using a 28 by 18 for the bottle gauge, and I'll put some B-roll of that in here. And I also have a bottle version Notos. You'll see how the gauges look on the Notos, and that's a 25 by 10 millimeter that I'm using on the Notos. And you can see that on the 25 by 10, there's a flange here. Okay, I just thought that looked a little better. On the 25 by 7, there's no flange, it's just got the 3 millimeter wall thickness. And the 25 by 18, that has a 3 millimeter wall thickness all the way down. I thought that looked the nicest. You be the judge if you think they'll be handy for you or not. Let me move this stuff out of the way. Okay, last but not least, does everybody know what that is? I'm trying to brand my products to SWP, Shooting with Phil. So you'll see that on some of them as well. Yes, that is one of these, right? I always thought, why doesn't somebody make a really nice bracket that clips onto your bottle and would hold the radar right in front of your bottle? Let me show you how this looks on the Wildcat. All right, so there's the front of the Wildcat. The way you're going to put this on is you're just going to spring these apart, the 2 ears apart a little bit. That's about the easiest way for you to put it on. And it just slides right over the top of the bottle. There are O-rings in here. Those black things are just O-rings. So I find that it's not too grippy, but it's just grippy enough. So they're easy. It's easy to take on and off. You don't have to fool around with rubber bands. And this new version 2 radar is just so tiny. It just looks super nice on the gun, I think. Okay, so that was my third invention. And of course, it comes in black, comes in red, and it comes in blue. And I hope you guys are getting kind of a good look at these, just the material they're printed from. At a lot of angles, they don't look like they're 3D printed, and they're not a shiny, plasticky looking thing. So I think they look nice. I think you'll think they look nice as well. All right, now the way these are designed is, so they're printed like this. You stack layers on top and it goes up. So up and down is the Z-axis, and this is how it's printed. It's weakest in this direction, okay? And that's why there is a through bolt from one end all the way to the other. It's like rebar in concrete. It just makes everything stronger. And I think you'll find that it's just a real super handy kind of bracket for your radar. The other thing is, okay, the holes here that catch the set screws for the radar, those holes are positioned in such a way that they're not centered up on the set screws, okay? They're offset. The reason they're offset is when you tighten down the set screws, it will push the radar backwards and down into this pocket, okay? That way it's set in the pocket, nice and firm. It's not going to move around. What I find works for me is once these start to engage the plastic, I just give them about another half turn each, okay? So these are not tightened all the way in, and they don't even hit the bottoms of the holes here, but they're just catching the edges of the holes. So that is the way it's designed. The holes on the bracket are not designed to line up perfectly with these set screw holes, okay? 1, 2, 3 radar brackets. I'll put some more pictures up of the Wildcat and the Maverick with all 3 of the accessories. That way you can tell kind of what they look like. And last one here is what is the only thing better than the radar bracket for the version 2 radar? Radar bracket for the version 1 radar. And I tried to keep the toolless theme going. So it has a removable cap. And I'm using the colored versions in the video here because they show up a lot better on camera. You can see the details a lot better. I have my original version 1 pocket chrono. It just slides right under, and these 2 bosses capture it and kind of prevent it from turning. You'll just slide the cap right over the top, and you do have to push it on there, okay? So it's tight, it's not going to move. And then I've got a little thumb nut here just to tighten it back on. That's what that looks like. The one thing that you'll have to note with these radars is because the Generation 1 radar is bigger, you can have an interference problem with the compact style rifles if your moderator is bigger than a Tonto. What I did here is, see how there's a 41 printed there on that boss? Okay, that's the maximum moderator size that you can use with this bracket. Okay, so what I've done is I've just dropped down the boss. You can see the difference in distance here. This one is for a maximum 31 millimeter diameter, which is like a Tonto. This one's maximum 41 millimeter diameter moderator, and that's for like a Sumo. And maximum 51 millimeter diameter moderator, and that has the largest offset, and that's for a 2-inch moderator or a 51 millimeter moderator, like a Ronin or a Fat Boy. So here's the bracket with the 31 millimeter offset. Okay, and you can see that it's kind of right up tight underneath the moderator. There's only about 3 millimeters between the moderator and the radar. If you wanted to get that up nice and close to your barrel, that's why I have the 3 different offsets. Also, these brackets have the screw all the way through the bottom boss, so they're nice and sturdy. There's what it looks like with the 41 millimeter offset, so you can get a 1.6 inch moderator on there. There's what it looks like with my Sumo moderator on it. So again, there's just about 3 millimeters between the Sumo and the radar. So that's what that looks like. And the Sumo is the largest diameter moderator I have. I don't have a 2-inch or a Fat Boy moderator. So you get the idea though. Okay, there's the bracket with the 51 millimeter offset with the Sumo and with the Tonto. If you want to be covered, just get the 51 millimeter bracket. If you're always shoot 22 and you know you're never going to go bigger than a Sumo or a 1.6 inch moderator, you can go with 41 millimeter offset. And if you always shoot long barrels and you don't have the moderator up close to the end of the bottle, well, you can go with the 31 millimeter offset, and that radar will tuck right up underneath there, up close to the barrel, kind of where you want it. I think it looks nicer the closer it is tucked up underneath the barrel. So it's just an aesthetics thing, but I just wanted to give you guys options. That's why I went with the 3 different offsets. I want to finish up the dope tables. I have one dope table that I need to finish up, and that is for a 30 caliber 600 millimeter barrel. If anyone has a 30 caliber 600 millimeter barrel that they're willing to loan me for a couple weeks, I will give you a full set of the new accessories. Get a hold of me. And I had a couple almost takers. They messaged me on the video, responded to their message. I was like, hey, email me. They never emailed me. So if you want to loan a barrel, I don't want it to be your only barrel. I don't want it to be your only rifle. Just do it if you have a couple weeks to spare, if it's no big deal. If you're going to miss it for 2 weeks, then don't do it, unless you think the accessories are worth it. Oh, okay. And since I'm making this offer to someone who has a 30 caliber 600 millimeter Wildcat or a Maverick barrel, to the 4 gentlemen who loaned me the barrels so I could do all the other dope tables originally. You know who you are: Scott Graham, Bill W., Daniel in Kentucky, and Andrew in Florida. Text me, let me know which of the accessories you want. I'll totally give you guys a full set if you will find them handy. That is the least I can do. It's a thank you for loaning your barrels to me so I could get 90% of the dope table data done. And I just want to tie that project off. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at the video that's called, what did I call that video? Look at the video called Crowdsourcing Dope. That'll give you the story. And again, just message me in the comments for the video if you're willing to loan 30 caliber 600 millimeter barrel. As always, I'm trying to route USA buyers through High Pressure Pneumatics in Michigan. Here's his website. If you just type in SWP, Shooting with Phil, in the search bar here, you'll pull up all of the Shooting with Phil accessories, the quick tune kits for the Maverick and Wildcat, and all of these accessories. So the nice thing is you can not only buy the accessories from High Pressure Pneumatics, is you can buy pellets, chronographs, rifles, whatever other accessories you guys are looking for. So Tom's a great guy. Hi, Tom. Hope all is well. Hope it's warming up there. So what else was I going to say? I just wanted to introduce my 3 new accessories for you guys. Hopefully you guys find them useful. I just do this for fun. I'm not a professional shooter. I'm just a lazy person, and I'm like, hey, why doesn't somebody make these? And it turns out that somebody was going to be me. So message me with any questions. I always answer everyone's questions, and I always try to keep everybody taken care of. Let me know. Okay, thanks. See you next time. Bye.